It is now or never. This season is the last chance for running back Anthony Mcfarland Jr. for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, last week I made a video quickly covering the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason moves, and I mentioned how the team just released running back Master Teague, and then I quickly mentioned how the Pittsburgh Steelers now don't really have too much depth at the running back position. They obviously have a clear number one running back in Najee Harris, and then a 1B or second running back in Jaylen Warren, but then the third running back after those two, they really don't have anyone. Yes, they have Anthony Mcfarland Jr., and that's just about it. He's the only guy who really had any opportunities in the NFL, so right now he should be the clear number 3 running back. The Steelers on the team behind those three only have Jason Huntley and Alfonso Graham, who they signed as a undrafted free agent. So Anthony Mcfarland Jr., this is his best chance to make the team. Last year, he did not make the final roster. Yes, he made the practice squad and was on the practice squad basically the whole year other than a couple games where he played, but him making the team should be a certain guarantee if he puts in the work and he actually shows production. The only thing that might limit him is the Steelers really like having the third running back on the team play special teams. For example, last season, Benny Snell, even though he was the number 3 running back, he was really good at special teams. And even Jaylen Warren, he was the second running back, but he was still playing a little bit of special teams. That's the only thing that might limit Anthony Mcfarland Jr. from making the team. But he's a clear best running back out of the next 3 people. So he should make the number 3 spot. But this is his last chance for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's heading into year 4. He's already had 3 years with the team. His first year, he was actually on the main roster. But his second year, he was injured from basically most of the year. And then his third season, he was on the practice squad. So this is his last chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he doesn't have production this year, I don't see a chance that he'll even be back next year. I made a video last season before the season started about Benny Snell Jr. And I was saying how that was his last chance. And look where we are right now. He's not on the roster and he's not on the team. So that was his last chance with the Steelers. And now this is Anthony Mcfarland Jr.'s last chance. And he could bring something special to the team. The Steelers really lack explosive plays out of the backfield. Yes, they have a guy in Najee Harris who could just run people over. Yes, they have a guy in Jaylen Warren who actually has a lot of pop in his game. And he's really shifty and can make plays happen as well. But Anthony Mcfarland Jr. brings something different to the team. I don't expect him to get a lot of carries unless someone gets injured, someone goes down, or someone misses time. So even though he's going to have limited opportunities, maybe like 2 rushes, 3 rushes a game, unless something happens, he could still bring something to the table. He's a guy who could still take it to the house. Yes, college is way different from the NFL. I'm not saying that's not, but he was really explosive when he was in college. And he was the guy who was known for his hopping it and breaking out to the outside and taking it to the house. There was a college play where 2 plays in a row, he had 50 plus yard run for touchdowns, back-to-back drives. So he's a guy who could take it to the house on any given play. And you have to think about it like this. Even though he didn't have much production in his first 3 seasons when he did play, he's basically in the same situation as Najee Harris. Najee Harris has been with the team for 2 seasons, basically his 3rd this season, and his first 2 seasons, he really didn't have an offense line who could create holes. And if you think about it, Anthony Mcfarland Jr. has been here for 3 years, 1 extra year than Najee Harris. Meaning that his time here too, he didn't have an offense line who could create holes. So they're all running backs who are in the same situation. They didn't have a great offense line, but now their offensive line is projected to be one of the best in the league when you think about it on paper, because they added Isaac Seumalo, they drafted a left tackle, now they added more pieces, and they got rid of the left side of the offense line, which was really struggling for them. So now they upgraded the offense line, and now the running backs should have more holes in the run game. And last season, Anthony Mcfarland Jr., he only played in 1 game. And if you remember the game, he actually played really good. He had 6 rushes for 30 yards in limited opportunities. And also, he had 2 receptions for 11 yards. That was the game where Benny Snell Jr. really went off in the second half, if you remember that. And Anthony Mcfarland Jr., after not playing the whole season, coming in for that 1 game and putting up that production when the Steelers needed him, he actually showed out. And even in the preseason, last season, I know you don't care about preseason, but last preseason, I actually thought he had a good chance of making the team. actually over Jaylen Warren because he actually showed out in his limited opportunity in preseason, especially the first couple of games. So Anthony McFarland Jr. this season, he could bring something to the Steelers. Yes, he's never a hard time making the team because of special teams, but the Steelers lack depth at the running back position. They only have Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, so the third running back spot is really open to anyone who shows up and competes and really earns the job. And Anthony McFarland Jr. has the best chance because the Steelers were the person who actually drafted him, meaning they probably still have that connection to him compared to other running backs on the roster. Like I said, Alfonso Graham and Huntley. The Steelers didn't draft those guys. They don't have a connection to them other than just bringing them in and signing them. The Steelers have a connection because Matt Canada, he was there with Anthony McFarland Jr. when he was at Maryland. So he has a connection there. And I'm actually surprised the Steelers haven't used Anthony McFarland Jr. as much since Matt Canada has become offensive coordinator. Because you would think because of the connection at Maryland, because if you don't know, Matt Canada used to be an offensive coordinator at Maryland. So you would think because of the connection there, because Mike Tomlin's son played at Maryland and he was probably watching a lot of their games, watching Anthony McFarland Jr. at Maryland because his son was also on the team, you would think that they would have more of a role for Anthony McFarland Jr. and know what he could bring to the table. But now I believe it's all up to Anthony McFarland Jr. to make things happen. He can't get injured early because then that just shoots down every single chance he has of making the team or being a production this season. If he gets injured early, it's going to be one of those another seasons, like a second year, where he's just going to be on the practice squad the whole year. So he really needs to stay healthy, and he needs to keep his feet under him. He has a problem. Yes, he's a fast running back, but because he's smaller, he has a problem of staying upright. He seems to always slip or cut and slip whenever he makes a cut, meaning that when he makes his move, even though he's so shifty, he's so fast, he still needs to stay upright and keep himself in a good position. But because he is a smaller running back, he relies more on his shiftiness. He can't run people over, but he could still be a product of the screen game because he could take it to the house on every given play if there's enough room because of how fast, because of how shifty he is. But now it's just all up to him, and this is his last chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he doesn't show up this year and prove to the Steelers why they should keep him for the future, I believe he'll have a hard time making a Pittsburgh Steelers roster ever again. He will have to go to a different team, just like Benny Snell Jr. right now is not with the Steelers, and he's still looking for another team in the NFL. He still has not signed. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about this? Do you feel as though this is a last chance for Anthony McFarland Jr. with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or do you believe that he's going to show out and he's going to be back next year? Or do you believe that he's going to be headed to a new team next year? Or do you think he's not going to make the roster and you want someone else to make the roster? Or do you want the Steelers to sign someone? Let me know down in the comments below. Ever since the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted him in the 4th round 3 years ago, I actually really liked him coming out of Maryland because I wanted a running back who could show out, who has speed, because that's always something the Steelers lacked in the backfield. They always had these bigger guys, these guys who could run people over, but they really never had a speed guy. So ever since the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted him, I've really been looking forward to seeing him break out and have a really good year. But it's really never happened, so hopefully this year is a year for him. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well if you like Steelers content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next year's video. I covered all free agency, all the draft, all the signings, all the undrafted guys. If you want to see the introduction to all those players, watch on the channel, and every news, every rumor from OTAs, preseason, training camp, everything like that into the regular season, and then repeat the whole cycle back into the draft. Just like this season, just know I'm covering everything for you. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.